So I just got done talking about the worst year of a professional wrestler's career, Bray Wyatt, and now let's move on to the guy that had a great year and honestly had a couple of bumpy roads early on and a little bit at the end, but ultimately had probably the best year of his career so far, and he's only been in WWE for 2 years. So, Braun Strowman, people really couldn't imagine Strowman because everyone had heard the stories about how Strowman was at the Performance Center and they were describing his talent as being the worst thing ever. And he wasn't even put in the developmental center, so he wasn't given a chance. So everyone assumed, oh, well, he's not going to make it on the main roster. Like, yeah, he's big and whatnot and everything Vince likes in the guy. But yeah, he's not going to get anywhere without any talent like that, other than, well, his intimidation factor. But really, yeah, a lot of people couldn't think he would go places. Like, he needed to be in tag team matches, and when he was separated from the Wyatt family in 2016 as part of the draft, everyone was really concerned after that. But they did something that, honestly, they should have started doing for Reigns, but because everyone but because Vince has a hatred for Reigns to an extent, because he's not a direct creation in terms of being from NXT, though ultimately everything that is Reigns is now because of Vince, and now look where he's at. I'll get to him soon. Strowman at the end of 2016 was having a feud with Sami Zayn, and they would finally have their final match together in a last man standing match on January 2nd to start off the year of Monday Night Raw. Strowman murdered him. Yeah, he murdered him, and at that time it was his best match. So, yeah, Strowman murdered Zayn in the last man standing match, and for some reason that would be Sami Zayn's last feud on Raw, or at least well-known feud on Raw. And then he went to SmackDown, started off good, then went back down to where he was until he was just stuck in dark matches. Which is why I can't really say a thing regarding Sami Zayn, because there's nothing memorable after the Royal Rumble, after January 2nd, all the way till, when he allied with Kevin Owens near the end of the year. So, yeah. So, Strowman interfered in Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns' Universal Championship match, and due to the no DQ stipulation, Strowman managed to help Owens retain. And this is when everyone got freaking out now, because remember when I said people thought Strowman wasn't going to go anywhere because he just didn't have the ability as a wrestler and not just intimidation look? Well, now fans were starting to see, I think they're onto something with Strowman. They're giving him 2 years to develop. That's much faster, even though that's much faster than Reigns. But still, he's getting some chance to develop here. And then ultimately, yeah, that didn't end up working so well. I'll get to that in a moment. But anyways, everyone was freaking out now because everyone knows that if Roman Reigns fights Strowman, they know where this is going. And sure enough, we will know soon. Later that night, Strowman would enter the Royal Rumble match at number 7, eliminating Mojo Rawley, Big Cass, Kalisto, Mark Henry, Big Show, James Ellsworth, and Ty Dillinger, before being eliminated by the combined efforts of Dean Ambrose, somewhat Ty Dillinger, Sami Zayn, and then ultimately Baron Corbin. It took 4 guys to get this guy out. So, yeah. And Strowman, being the monster he is, Strowman would challenge Kevin Owens for the Universal Championship because, and I'm not kidding, he used logic. Logic! And at this time, I must stress, this is Monday Night Raw, not SmackDown Live. At this time, this is Monday Night Raw, not SmackDown Live, so that's a big deal when they reference that Kevin Owens would give him a Universal Championship match so long as Roman Reigns doesn't get the title. Yeah, they referenced that, and I'm still surprised. So, Strowman, remembering that, decides, you know what? I gave Kevin Owens what he wanted, so I'm going to take the opportunity. And they even showed video evidence. Strowman, however, would win by disqualification, not win the title, because Reigns interfered and attacked him in revenge. Strowman then once again was back to fighting local competitors before being granted a match with Reigns at Fastlane. And also attacked him again after his match with Samoa Joe, during his match with Reigns' match with Samoa Joe, which causing Joe to win. And on the February 20th episode of Raw, Strowman defeated Big Show in the main event, and that was their first encounter of three. And while Big Show and Strowman versus round one wasn't really memorable at much, there was one distinct memorable moment that actually beats Roman Reigns, all the attempts Roman Reigns had to try to do with Big Show, where Strowman is able to kick his feet up like someone from an action movie, but is supposed to be much smaller, like it's something you see out of an action movie, yet you're seeing this giant man just do it with like zero effort. Like, oh yeah, I'm badass. And all throughout this feud with Roman Reigns heading into Fastlane, Strowman kept getting the upper hand on him. He kept beating the hell out of him, and I was wondering, there is supposed to be a moment where Reigns gets a victory over him, right? In this build-up, like all throughout this entire feud, he's been basically like looked at and like, I'm gonna treat him like crap, and threw him into a turnbuckle, managed to get it after like several spears, and I was like, okay, maybe this might be different, maybe. But sadly, at the pay-per-view, Strowman faced Reigns in an awesome match. However, it has a big blunder by having him lose, marking his first loss by pinfall. And boy, everyone was pissed. In fact, the one memorable moment in that match is the fact that Reigns was trying to impersonate Shane McMahon with the shoes. I still don't get that. However, a lot of people were said to have been very pissed off that night. Okay, Mike Johnson of PWInsider.com said this. Until Strowman and Reigns, Fastlane was pretty lackluster, which was bordering on great when the latter minutes of the match were very good. However, Johnson thought that Reigns pinning Strowman was the wrong call. And yeah, and then Mike, someone from WrestleView.com, said that was over delivering and was a great match, but was dissatisfied as it wasn't necessary for Reigns to beat Strowman via pin when WWE routinely comes up with screwy finishes for Raw main events. Surprisingly, let's see who else got pissed off from this horrible decision. Let's see. Okay, Brian Alvarez, he was in F4W Online, felt incensed by Fastlane. He didn't say it was a bad show, but he did hate what the was the booking, like, you know, the stats and records that were established, and then he said this: whittled them all away for fucking nothing at Fastlane. Either it was Nia Jax's winning streak, which was ended, Charlotte's 18 pay-per-view winning streak, which was nothing, and should have ended at WrestleMania, or Strowman never being pinned and submitted until Roman Reigns beat him. And that last part, Alvarez said that he was really not happy that Reigns was the one who did it. Yeah, a lot of people, even those who were saying, well, the match was great, that ending should not have happened. Yeah, in fact, I was thinking that ending was not going to happen. Like, I was honestly predicting that, at best, this was the best case scenario, that Undertaker getting mad over what happened at Royal Rumble, and Reigns saying that it's his yard, because he had repeatedly said that before this match with Strowman, where he said, this is my yard now, when he wants to declare he wants to fight Strowman to Mick Foley, but that doesn't happen. I was expecting Undertaker to show up, the lights go out, after the referee's knocked down by Strowman or the Reigns in the spear incident, and the Undertaker comes out, choke slams Roman Reigns, and then Braun Strowman gets the victory over Reigns, continuing his dominance while not losing, but also protecting Reigns. But no, Vince is too much having a fetish for Reigns, so we can't do that. That would be too much of a good idea. Well, granted, I still hated the fact, the Reigns has to be the guy, like, to beat Strowman in his first loss by pinfall. Like, anyone else could have been good, except for Brock Lesnar. I seriously did not want that. So moving on, Strowman would then try to challenge Reigns to a rematch, only for The Undertaker to show up instead, and because of this, Strowman backs away. Oh, I didn't mention this part, but before the Royal Rumble, Strowman had declared his intention to get in the Royal Rumble, only to be speared by Goldberg and Reigns, and Strowman wanted both Reigns and Goldberg. However, Goldberg's a part-timer, and his only contribution to the show is fighting Brock Lesnar, like, twice a month, like, once a month, and even then, that's not much, and, like, that's 5 minutes at best. So, yeah, Strowman, after, when Strowman was being encountered by The Undertaker, I was thinking, like, okay, that's kind of awesome. 2, it's clearly obvious where this is going with it, but with everything building up, but with the way that Undertaker and Strowman just stared at each other, and then all of a sudden, I noticed this, I could be wrong, but I could have sworn I saw The Undertaker nod to Strowman about something. I don't know what, and then Strowman nodded, like, out of respect, or like Undertaker was saying, "You're doing good, kid," and Strowman was like, "Thanks." Like, they were nodding, like, trying to say something to each other, but they couldn't, or else they'll break character. But, yeah, I just was wondering where this was going, and Strowman just walked away into the crowd, and it was just left with Undertaker just looking at him, and then Roman Reigns happened, and then we all know how that goes. Which led me to think, okay, they announced that the week later, after Raw that week, they announced that Undertaker versus Reigns was going to happen, and then I was wondering, is Strowman going to be part of it? That sounds way too early to just straight up announce it and not build up to it on the next show, like have Roman Reigns come out and declare his intention to defeat The Undertaker and whatnot, but they never did that. So I was wondering, so is Strowman going to get involved? Because that would be awesome, and it would also help Undertaker not, get horribly crippled. So, yeah. So after Shawn Michaels warned Roman Reigns of the power that The Undertaker possesses, and Roman Reigns was just being arrogantly smug, yet still not being turning heel mode, Strowman would brutally attack Reigns while he was leaving the ring. This led to a rematch on March 20th, which ended in no contest after Undertaker chokeslammed Strowman. Okay, I was wondering, okay, are they building to Strowman, Taker, and Reigns? Because please do that. You just did that moment. That should have just happened. That should have added Strowman into the match. But no, Strowman doesn't even acknowledge what happened, that incident. In fact, even the promo between Reigns and Taker never acknowledged that incident. And on the final Raw before WrestleMania 33, Strowman announced his participation in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and I was all for Strowman winning it because, just because. But WWE has a track record with the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. You see, the idea behind it started off good, with Cesaro winning it in awesome fashion and almost paying homage to Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. That was a cool moment. Then look what happened to Cesaro that same year. Because Vince finds him boring. Yeah. Oh, okay, well, there's next year. There's always next year. Let's see how this works. Okay. Oh, Santow's going to be in it. Oh, he's the best guy to win. Like, everything has been building up for this awesome WrestleMania moment. No, Big Show wins. Okay, here's the thing about that one. I probably would have been alright if that was Big Show's last match. It wasn't. He'll be back next year. Then he might leave. But he stayed for an extra 3 years, so this wasn't his last match. So certainly had just saved that for WrestleMania if he came back in time. So, yeah, Strowman was sacrificed. So, yeah, Sandow was sacrificed because, I don't know, Vince hates him. Yeah, that has to be it. Like, Ms. Dow's gimmick, the Ms. Dow gimmick, that only happened. Apparently, it was said that Triple H came up with the idea, but not entirely. In fact, you want to know who really came up with the idea? Okay, I don't know who, but apparently Triple H looked on the internet, saw what people were writing up, saying, hey, imagine if Sandow did this gimmick, and yada yada yada, and Triple H was like, okay, let's do that. And look how that worked out, and look how Vince looks at it, and like, those sons of bitches, how dare they come up with a good idea for Sandow? I should have come up with that. I'm gonna bury it for all it's worth. So, yeah. So, yeah, and then the year after that, Baron Corbin gets the opportunity to win the Memorial Battle Royal with no build-up, and he just pops out in there saying, hey, it's me, Baron Corbin, and he gets the victory. Nothing really amounts to that. Even now, it still didn't amount to anything. It started off, but then something happened, and Money in the Bank contract incident, and Howie Dare speaks up for himself and questions the medical practices, even though he says he heard otherwise, but that's a different matter. Yeah. So that still didn't amount to anything. So I was like, okay, I gave you 3 chances. You screwed it up enough as it is. You made this match, what could have been a good idea, turn into an epic disaster. But because I am a masochistic man, I watched the match, got pissed off. Like, Strowman, he eliminates 6 people, eliminates the Big Show, and then quickly gets eliminated, and it goes to Mojo Rawley. Boo! So on the following Raw after WrestleMania, Strowman challenged the now crowned Universal Champion Brock. I am too lazy to do a good match unless it's someone I actually like, and even then I probably will just do it one-sided unless it's Reigns and Cena, who I'm indifferent towards, to a future championship match. So, yeah, that happened. And then on April 10th, Strowman got basically turned face for so many people when, while Michael Cole, because, you know, hearing Michael Cole on the main roster is always a good idea. It's always good to hear more of Michael Cole on Raw, and not when he doesn't have Vince screaming in his ear, to the point he should have lost his hearing years ago, but that's a different matter. Who was interviewing Roman Reigns. Strowman horribly, gruesomely, and almost tried to mutilate Reigns. Like, let's see, what was the list of atrocities he committed? He smashed his head in with a box. Reigns was strapped to a gunnery and was thrown off. And then Strowman then overturned an ambulance with Reigns inside. And despite playing a heel, Strowman got a thank you, Strowman. Because, you know, Reigns is the scum of the earth. He is the Hitler of WWE. Even though Vince should be described as the psychopathic leader, but that's a different matter. I've already covered Vince's 2 major atrocities this year. You know, screwing Neville over big time, firing a guy for daring to be hanging out with his buddies who work for another company and was part of a popular faction, and still trying to go with a trademark. So that's 3 things of the too sweet gesture. Yeah. Moving on, before I go more into that rant. So, yeah, and the fact that when Strowman did this, okay, everyone loved it, I loved it, but here's the thing. I look at it and just say, that's an awesome segment. That's awesome. When a fan who hates Reigns' guts looks at it, and I'm talking about the more extremist ones, or say, yeah, I wish the SOP was dead. I want him dead. I want his family dead. I want everything he gets a shot. because I did see a comment on YouTube and I was wanting to stare into the mirror wondering, where did humanity go wrong? Because that would take forever for me to answer, and I don't have the answer. And especially the whole, Reigns is worse than polio, and I'm like, so a disease is not as bad than just seeing Roman Reigns on TV doing his job. That's the logic we're going with now? Really? Okay. So we're going with stupidity as the norm to hate Roman Reigns and coming up with... I was always curious. Okay. So I want to hear a fan. I wanted to see that fan who wrote that sign that says Reigns is worse than polio. You'll find it somewhere. It's probably... I wouldn't be surprised if he censored it out because it was violent. But I would love for this fan to go to a family that lost a family member due to polio and say, well, I know you lost a very important member of your family due to polio, but come on, Roman Reigns sucks. I would love to see their reaction, to see that the fact that this guy doesn't see what the big deal is regarding polio since he says Reigns is worse than that. I would love to see that. That would not end well. So, Strowman goes ahead and says he's finally putting an end to Roman Reigns, much to the elation of the WWE Universe giving him yes chance. And then proceeds to beat the holy hell out of everybody until Big Show stops him from throwing Kalisto into a horrible dumpster death. Too bad that wouldn't prevent it. So, everyone was dreading that Big Show and Strowman were going to fight again. Like, they lucked out, like, okay, you got one good moment with Big Show when you did the jump with your feet off the ground. That was awesome, but come on, we're going to buy you making a good match with a good match. Like, he couldn't get a good match with Mark Henry, so what can you get a good match with two giants who are practically the same? And then we saw the match and it was like, holy shit, this match was freaking awesome. It only took 2 tries. How many times did it take Roman Reigns to finally get a good match with Big Show? And even then, you can still make the argument that it had to be weapon space for it to work. Let's see. Like 10 times by now, at that time, back in 2014? No, 2015. Yeah. So, yeah, Strowman then put the icing on the cake and performed a superplex on Show off the top rope, off the turnbuckle, causing the ring to collapse, and the match ended in no contest. However, Strowman emerged as the victor nonetheless when he emerged standing and roared to the crowd, much to the elation of all the fans who wished to see this man go crazy. The following week, Strowman faced Kalisto in a dumpster match. I was like, okay, let's see how this goes. This is going to be a massacre. He lost. Really? And even then, it wasn't really epic. Like, Strowman was on the ropes. Kalisto kicked him, and he just landed elegantly on inside the dumpster, still standing. And Strowman was like, "Oh, fuck that!" Yeah, I was thinking, like, think about this. Strowman technically hadn't had an official loss yet. Imagine if this would, if Roman Reigns did not beat him at Fastlane, and he lost this match clean, and he did lose clean, then that would have been much worse. Because whereas with Roman, you at least got a good match with him, but whereas Kalisto and Strowman, that didn't work, and that happened. And plus, Kalisto, I was wondering, why was he not on 205 Live? They had to have taken him on Raw just to put him on 205 Live. Yeah, they realized that, oh wait, we have Kalisto still. Let's forget about him after this and then wait for a couple of months. Oh yeah, we still have Kalisto, okay. But Strowman, in his rage, decides to viciously attack Kalisto and throw him onto the side of the stage while he was trapped inside the dumpster. And then Strowman would fight a weakened, battered Roman Reigns at Payback in the main event. And everyone was like, okay, we've seen this like a million times. John Cena, always rises to the occasion, and Vince wants to make Roman Reigns a John Cena clone in terms of booking. Okay, let's see how this goes. Strowman beats him without any other excuses. Yeah, Strowman beats him clean. And then Strowman continues his gimmick of "I will murder anyone who dare crosses me" gimmick by getting the steel steps and basically creating internal bleeding by crushing it on Roman Reigns' chest, much to an audible fans yelling out with the top of their lungs saying, "Thank you, Strowman! One more time! Crush his lungs until he can no longer breathe because we're kind of sick fucks about it." And even on Raw Talk's live ticker, where they show tweets, even they were saying, "Thank you, Strowman! You tried to murder him." Yeah. And then it was prepared that he would set his sights, but on Raw Talk, Strowman tried to once again scream out, "I'm not finished with you!" and crashed into the ambulance, breaking off the hinges of the door. And Reigns managed to retaliate, barely, by basically slamming the other door onto Strowman's arm, where I think that's what happened a week or so later. But yeah, also when Strowman flipped Reigns over in the ambulance and overturned the ambulance with Reigns inside, his most memorable line that caused people to make memes and say that should be his new catchphrase, where he screams out, "I'm not finished with you!" Yeah. Everyone loves that, and now every time when I want to listen to Braun Strowman's theme music on WWE Music YouTube, I see people in the comments screaming after they typing in all caps after they finish the music video. They go ahead and write down, play again, screaming, "I'm not finished with you!" So, yeah. After Payback and after a week or so, WWE had to write Strowman out by making him get beaten up by Roman Reigns, but not as vicious, like Strowman had delivered. And it was revealed that during that same show that Strowman has suffered a legitimate shattered elbow injury and would therefore be sidelined for about 6 months. And this angered so many people. Like, people were wondering what caused it. If I had to guess what caused the quote shattered elbow injury, I would say it would have to be when WWE told Strowman, "Okay, Strowman, I know you finished the match and we shouldn't really do anything more, but we need you to charge into the ambulance elbow first and crash into the door, breaking his hinges off and then being slammed by Reigns with the ambulance door to the point that it would probably shatter any human elbow because this is a legitimate real ambulance car we're using." Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the cause. Could be wrong, but I still believe that was the cause. And then this also caused a change in the schedule plan because they originally were going to do Strowman versus Lesnar at Great Balls of Fire, having to be scrapped. And then they were going to do a rematch against each other at SummerSlam, but that was a different matter. Strowman underwent surgery 3 days later on May 11th. Then it got reported that, the elbow injury, by Dave Meltzer, that was legit. But it's not as serious as WWE was saying. They just want to exaggerate it for his surprise return 4 months early to be awesome. Since they were saying it would only be 2 months. Yeah, let's see. He took surgery on May 11th. Okay. When does he return? Oh, he comes back on June 19th. So he's only been gone for 1 month and 8 days. Wow, even Dave Meltzer got the prediction wrong. It wasn't 2 months. It was only 1 month and 8 days. So Strowman goes ahead, beats the living crap out of both Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe. And then, mostly he beats the crap... I was thinking of another moment. Strowman returned from injury, beat the crap out of Roman Reigns after his match against Samoa Joe. And Strowman then challenged Reigns to an ambulance match at Great Balls of Fire. So everyone was wondering, okay, now Reigns has to lose. Reigns has to win now. Like, they just gave him a loss at Payback. So the cycle says that thou shall lose a feud. The heel should lose a feud because the hero has to win, according to the WWE rule book, except we can ignore that on several occasions. And, Strowman won. Clean. Again. He has beaten Reigns clean twice now. So how many times has Strowman beaten Reigns? How many times has Reigns beaten Strowman? Oh wait, only once. Yeah, that's an incredibly rare moment. Like, heck, even the build-up to Fastlane, Strowman beat the crap out of Reigns all throughout. So, yeah, the fact that Strowman got 2 matches over Reigns, and Reigns only has 1 victory, yeah, that's saying something about Strowman's future. So, after he had beaten Roman Reigns, and it looked like this feud was actually going to go somewhere, Roman Reigns, because he needs to be because he's such a golly gosh darn good guy, proceeds to try and murder him by locking him in the ambulance after attacking him, drive it backwards into a production truck, and smash Strowman in. Yeah, Roman Reigns tried to attempt murder. And this would kickstart a very somewhat gimmick for Strowman where, oh, Strowman's a badass, so we need to start making him look more like a badass by trying to have murder angles on him. Yeah, just a month ago, Strowman was committing acts of attempted murder. Now he's on the receiving end of attempted murders by the good guys. Now, I wouldn't have much of a problem with this because, okay, people were complaining that Reigns was attempting murder, even though Reigns had clamored for Reigns to be more angry-like and be actual seriousness and not a cartoon character like Cena. And when they finally give him that, they complain saying, he's a good guy, he's not supposed to try and attempt murder. Except, okay, so let me remind all these people who complain about this for no reason. Doesn't your beloved hero Stone Cold try to attempt murder? Like, how many people by now? Like, oh, and also he committed vandalism, he held hostages, he broke into someone's house and almost got shot for it with the Brian Pillman angle they did. Let's see, he tried to break someone's leg without any remorse, and they were defenseless and were begging not to be struck. He tried to crush Triple H inside an ambulance. Oh, the NWO tried to murder The Rock in the ambulance after they smashed his head with concrete. No, a cinder block. So, let's see. Triple H also tried to have Triple H and Rikishi had a conspiracy together to get Stone Cold run over by a car and took him out for a year due to him need to get surgery on his neck. Let's see. Okay, who else was trying to do murder angles and they were also good guys? Oh, John Cena tried to drown Edge. Okay, Matt Hardy, yeah, the less we talk about Matt Hardy and Edge's relationship and friendship going down the drain, the better that would be. Yeah, so moving on. Yeah, the heroes have tried to murder people, and the guys who were heels at the time when they tried to murder people turned good, and everyone loved it. But I think this was the problem I had with the angle when they did this. The idea, okay, done before, gives Reigns a possible double turn. They never did anything with that, and Reigns suffered no consequences for his actions. Oh, Kurt Angle homages him, but Roman Reigns counters with, y'all did that in the Attitude Era. And, yeah, that's not an actual excuse he can go with. It's not because morally that is fucked up to do that, because you lost. But that's not really the problem I see, because the wrestlers back in the Attitude Era, he's right on that. They have done it, and even for far less reasons than that. Here's the big difference. Remember how I mentioned Stone Cold, attacked Triple H and basically tried to attempt murder? Triple H managed to get Stone Cold arrested the next week. remember? Like, Triple H had security guys handcuff him and escort him out the building for that murder attempt. Let's see. And also, when Triple H and Rikishi conspired to get him run over, they did in secret, and they worked together, and the secret didn't get revealed till a year later, and even then, Stone Cold went out to get his revenge, so there are consequences to murder angles if they did that. And also, did John Cena get in trouble in storyline for trying to drown Edge in the ocean? Yeah, there have been consequences for the guys who tried to commit murder in storyline. Reigns doesn't, so yeah, he can't use the "you did it back then, so it's cool now." So yeah, he can't use that excuse for so many reasons. And yet, yeah, they're not gonna ever address that incident ever again. I seriously, that was my problem. Like, so basically what Vince is telling the sweet, innocent kids he wants to give good morals to, that if you lose a match, if you lose anything, you are legally bounded by no restrictions to attempt murder on another individual. Listen to Vince, he knows everything. Hear that, kids? Vince says it's okay so long as you have an excuse saying that people back then did it. Except that would still be bullshit. So, yeah, Strowman somehow survives and walks out under his own power. Granted, he was still having a hard time moving, but he managed to walk away with his own power and refuse medical treatment. You know, because he's a monster among men. So, yeah. Then Strowman attacked both Reigns and Samoa Joe a few weeks later. 2 weeks by, I must stress. After costing Reigns and Joe the #1 contendership for the Universal Championship at SummerSlam. And, yeah. So, yeah, after that, it was announced that Strowman, along with Joe and Reigns, would fight Brock Lesnar in a Fatal 4-Way match for the Universal Championship. And a week later, Reigns defeated Strowman and Joe in a triple threat match, pinning Joe, which surprised everybody. Mostly because everyone expected Reigns to win at SummerSlam, but he gets the victory in the triple threat match. That surprised people. And on August 7th, Strowman defeated Reigns in a last man standing match, earning the score up from 2-3 over 1. And Strowman would have the opportunity to prove his worth in the main event scene at one of the big four of the pay-per-views. And he absolutely was awesome. This was his best moment in his career so far. He got to not only destroy Lesnar multiple times, dominate throughout most of the match, not even be pinned, and even not get F5'd in that match. Lesnar tried to, but Strowman managed to escape it because he's just too strong. At least at that show. That should say something. And then Strowman during the entire build-up to No Mercy, after going out and challenging Lesnar again, Strowman, he beat the holy crap out of Lesnar throughout the entire feud. Let's see, power slammed the Big Show through steel cage to the point he needed hip surgery. Though that was just his way to write him off. He'll be back next year. Then he was then scheduled to fight John Cena, and that's when people were really getting worried. Because people were thinking, like, well, Cena's going to fight Roman Reigns, and, Roman Reigns and Cena, they need to look strong for this show. Nope, that doesn't happen. Surprisingly. Strowman, while he does lose the disqualification to John Cena, Cena doesn't leave under his own power. He slams Cena into the steel ring steps, and actually dominates most of the match. And that same night, Strowman confronted Brock Lesnar. And every right he should, because, oh god, he just beat the crap out of Cena for most of the match and even walked away unscathed mostly. So Strowman and Lesnar brawl, and everyone thinks that it's Lesnar, so something's gonna give. And then Strowman gets German suplex, but then something amazing happens. Strowman gets back up unfazed, and Brock Lesnar is freaking out now. And that was the awesome moment I could get from Strowman this year. And then like, okay, they have to make this more awesome. There are so many ways they can make this more awesome. Strowman then antes up on the awesome meter when he yells out to Lesnar, "I'm not going to Suplex City!" and choke slams Lesnar, power slams him twice, and then afterwards, like, okay, he's going to pick up the Universal Championship, then we'll go to commercial. That's what's going to happen. Well, he does pick up the Universal Championship, and I was like, okay, now let's get to commercial. That doesn't end. No, Strowman not only picks up the Universal Championship, he puts his foot over Lesnar's chest. Holy shit, was I saying, okay, Vince did not write this part. He did not have no say in this part. Please tell me Triple H wrote that part. Please, for God's sake, Triple H wrote that. I refuse to believe Vince would actually, give two shits. So, yeah. That was awesome. And I was really hoping that Strowman would finally get the chance to win the Universal Championship at No Mercy. He topples the Beast. That would be perfect. I mean, like, let's be honest. Strowman and Reigns at WrestleMania would have been much better. Like, I'm not discounting Lesnar and Reigns not having a good match. They did last time. But Strowman and Reigns, they have more of a history and more brutality involved. Because, Lesnar doesn't like to put too much stunts in his work nowadays, since, he's a part-timer and he's trying to get back to, like, MMA stuff after he leaves. So, yeah, he doesn't want to get injured. Yeah. However, Strowman did not win. The match was 9 minutes. Couldn't even get to 10 minutes, could you? And people were scratching their heads like, why did you do that? And people were wondering, like, Lesnar didn't seem to be that invested. Well, here's the truth about that. A report came out a few days after No Mercy that Strowman... That Lesnar didn't want to work with Strowman. Yeah, Lesnar didn't want to work with Strowman, and therefore he's not going to put in the effort. I'm like, what's Vince going to do, really? He knows he can get away with it. He's at John Cena's level in terms of ego, except whereas Cena is just Hulk Hogan, Lesnar's like, oh, I'm part-timer, and you gave me millions of dollars, so you have to have me on the show, or else I will take all the money. For no reason. I really that'd be perfectly fine. Heck, you can't even suspend me because I'm a part-timer. That's not really going to affect me or anything, even though you could just fine Lesnar, but apparently that doesn't go into anybody's heads. So, yeah. So afterwards, Strowman, then, like, I was wondering where Strowman would go from here. Go back to fighting Reigns. Well, he would later become involved in the Miz's feud with the Reform Shield group after he attacked Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose and then just did nothing. And after he beat up Matt Hardy, the Shield attacked Strowman and powerbombed him on the announce table the same night that they reformed. And Strowman then the Miz offers to put Strowman on the team by telling Kurt Angle turning his words against Kurt Angle, and Strowman decides to kick in the door, growl at Angle, and Angle was like, okay, you have your mat, you're in. And then Strowman just walks away. Yeah, when I saw Strowman kick the door open, I knew that was coming. I said to myself, Strowman is pissed! And he's out for blood. And then Strowman was announced to fight Roman Reigns on the final build-up to TLC. And Strowman would fight Reigns in a steel cage match to determine another to determine whether or not another guy will be added to their team or Strowman would be eliminated from the team before the show. So, Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman once again have a heck of a match, and now the score goes up to 4, and Reigns is still at 1. Due to the returning Demon Kane, who, I will say this, at least has a reason to be against the Shield. Mostly Reigns because he retired The Undertaker, his brother. So, yeah, but then something happened. 2 days before the show, Reigns gets sick and is out. Replaced by General Manager Kurt Angle because WWE rushed the medical return. We're just glad nothing happened in that match, so yeah, that's saying something. But then, after that, Strowman and Kane's reasons for getting involved are completely negated. There's no point. Like, yeah, Strowman has some beef with Ambrose and Rollins, but his primary focus was with Reigns. Kane's reason for going after the Shield, while not explaining, was clearly because he wants revenge on Reigns because he's the reason Undertaker's retired. So, yeah, they're just filler now. So during the TLC match, after Strowman had eliminated Kurt Angle for like half of the match, Strowman's teammates had turned on him. And keeping up with the new gimmick, throws him into the garbage truck and almost killing him. Yeah, and they keep saying Strowman turned face for the first time in his career. So, yeah, Strowman was gone for 2 weeks and attacked Miz, Curtis Axel, and Bo Dallas after re-emerging from a different dumpster truck. And they don't care about details anymore. And after this moment, Strowman immediately turned into Jason Voorhees. Okay, so I'm just gonna say this. I was like flabbergasted from that angle. Like okay, when Strowman emerged looking nothing at all disheveled or disfigured in some way or scarred or dirty or covered in garbage, the way he looked from the angles they were showing, it looked like a horrible green screen behind him. The way he was positioned and the way like nothing moved behind him when he was emerging, it just looked like a bad green screen. And the Miz Trust's reaction was like, no, like it was a like those cheesy 80s horror movies where the killer's about to strike and the person goes and the female mostly for some reason because it was a popular stereotype and even now it is where the woman would scream in horrible screeching and then the murder happens. Strowman roars, goes out to the Miz and the Miztourage. And Miz and Bo Dallas escape, but Curtis Axel is horribly mutilated. So, yeah, this was said that the only reason he can, and here's the thing, those three and Kane were, Miz and Kane were Strowman's targets. The bar was left untouched by Strowman's revenge. So, yeah, apparently they forgot that part. So, yeah. Afterwards on Twitter, Angle named Strowman as his first pick for Team Raw, facing up against Team SmackDown at Survivor Series. On the finals, and Strowman and Kane finally had their epic confrontation, which wasn't really epic. And Strowman once again tries to prove he's badass and a monster by screaming out to Kane, "You're trying to murder me? You can't kill me!" Yeah, like he was screaming that Kane can't kill him. And here's the thing. I kept during the weeks like 2 or so weeks, or after the TLC match where Strowman was thrown into the dumpster truck and should be dead technically. I asked people that can a guy his size actually survive being compressed into a dumpster truck? Everyone I asked, they kept saying no, that is physically impossible for a guy like his size. He would be crushed. He wouldn't be able to if he was smaller, he might have a chance, but really, reality-wise, he wouldn't be able to survive. And they never show how he survived. Like, at least the ambulance match, I could buy maybe someone could survive that. Like, hell, The Rock survived murder. Even though, realistically, that should have killed him at that time. And the NWO didn't get punished, I believe. Because the heels, they get away with it. Not really, but that's beside the point. We never saw The Rock somehow survive. Yet we're led to believe, oh yeah, he's alright. When the commentators talk, even though he's soon to be dead. After being hit by a truck 3 times in an ambulance. So yeah, Strowman, we never see him get out of the dumpster truck. Whereas we saw Strowman get out of the ambulance after it crashed. And I could believe how Strowman could probably have found a way in the med room, in the back of the ambulance, found a way to protect himself while getting some scars, but ultimately coming out. So yeah, I could buy that. But the dumpster truck thing, no, he should be dead. He's a ghost now. I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. Ghost Strowman, like he actually is a spirit now or a zombie. Though of course a zombie has to look decaying, so we have to go with spirit. Don't be surprised, this is Vince. So Strowman then has a match with Kane. It ends in no contest after Kane and Strowman do DQ disqualification, or was it a count out? And they just proceed to try and destroy each other to the point that Strowman power slams Kane through the ring, and then after Raw, on Raw 5, he re-emerges in dominant fashion. That would have been much better than it was on TV. Oh, by the way, after No Mercy, Strowman power slammed Enzo Amore after Raw, so that was awesome. And even started acting like a face at that moment, where he looked at the cruiserweights, and initially you would think, oh, he's going to murder all the cruiserweights, that's going to be an awesome gore fest. No, he just says, you want him, boys? Come get him. And I was like, did he turn face or something? I kind of must have lost track on that. Nope, he hadn't yet. So, yeah. So, as Survivor Series, Raw defeated SmackDown as Strowman and Triple H were the sole survivors. And he was completely confused when Triple H looked like he was turning on Raw and joining up with Shane. And once again, Strowman must prove his dominance by choking Triple H and threatening to say that if you ever try double-cross me again, I promise you, you will never play this game again! And Triple H had this horrible look of fear on his face. Like, I think that's one of the few times he's legitimately scared. And, yeah. So, you would think after Triple H showed fear, Triple H would be like, okay, yeah, I get it. No, he decides to be the arrogant idiot and attack Strowman, not realizing that was a dumbass idea, and Strowman responded with 2 running power slams. So, yeah, and Strowman just proceeds to rip the shirt of Raw off of him, throw it to the ground, and just do his roar and leave. And of course, Triple H hits his head on the screen of the arena, and everyone laughed at that. So, like, everyone was wondering, what's gonna happen? Like, is something gonna happen regarding Strowman and Triple H? Like, I'm seriously hoping that's a WrestleMania plan, but I'll get to that later. The following night on Raw, during his match against Jason Jordan, who was forced into it by Stephanie McMahon and Triple H because Stephanie McMahon has to return and horribly emasculate everybody, Kane attacked Strowman with a chair and crushed his throat, and then somehow survived and come back a few days, practically a week or so later, and did the same thing to Kane after a double countout match after that, and then on December 11th, Strowman has, I think it was his final match of the year with Kane, to a double countout to determine the #1 contender for the Universal Championship at the Royal Rumble. And of course, Strowman doesn't get to do that. Instead, he goes ahead and fights, gets the chance to be one of the main events at Royal Rumble with Kane against Lesnar. Though on December 11th, there is actually one good moment where Strowman and Kane are down. Kane does his sit upright position. Then Strowman does the same thing, and Kane is just horribly terrified, like, oh God! Wait, he can do that? I thought only me and The Undertaker could do that. Or like Bray Wyatt can use his spider pose, but that's a different matter. So, yeah, I was amazed that Kane sold that like he was freaking out. Like, he does know Lesnar did that with The Undertaker at SummerSlam in 2015, right? And Lesnar just laughed in amusement to it. Yeah. So, Strowman is going to fight Lesnar and Kane for the Universal Championship at the Royal Rumble. Yeah, we know what's going to happen. Kane is just there to take the fall. And I said to myself, okay, I really wish Finn Balor was going to fight Lesnar, but, you know, we can't do that because Vince hates him for some reason. I'll get to Finn Balor when I can. But, Strowman, the only way I would accept Strowman having another match with Lesnar if it was to build to Triple H. That's the only way I see that would work. Like, Strowman... after Survivor Series, there were 3 potential matches highlighted on the following Raw: Strowman versus Triple H, Jason Jordan versus Triple H, and Kurt Angle versus Triple H. And I was thinking, like, okay, we can do all 3. Here's my plan: Strowman gets screwed by Triple H after, like, Triple H fights Jason Jordan, screws Strowman, and or not that. Strowman loses the Universal Championship match thanks to Kane, and Jason Jordan Triple H fight, and then Kurt Angle versus Triple H would happen. Jason Jordan screws Kurt Angle so they can set up their match at WrestleMania, and Triple H, after wanting revenge after Survivor Series, screws Strowman in the Elimination Chamber match because clearly that's going to be the #1 contendership chamber match, since, you know, you really expect Lesnar to work that match or even be at the show. Well, he didn't even show up for Hell in a Cell back in 2014, was it? And Heyman had to do the work for him on that. And then, so I was thinking, like, oh, that would be the perfect way to do it. Strowman versus Triple H at WrestleMania. That would be perfect. So then I had heard a report where they have a bunch of people considered to fight Strowman at WrestleMania. One of the top candidates, and I'm sad to say this, is John frickin' Cena. But there is a problem with that. Vince is pushing for that, but now also is starting to consider, how about not that? No. No. And Strowman had admitted that he's Vince's project, not Triple H's project. So that's to say something, but, you know, they're building him up. And according to the Vince philosophy, build something up. If fans love it, he has to destroy it. So, yeah, putting Cena with Strowman, that's certainly going to help Strowman in the long term at WrestleMania of all places. You know, unless it's Roman Reigns, then that's a different matter. So, yeah. There's also a consideration that Strowman might not fight Cena, and we get an even worse alternative. Cena wins the Royal Rumble again, ties with Austin, main events WrestleMania, surpasses Ric Flair in the championship reigns department, pissing everyone off. So, let's see, spit in the face of records that were held for years and years by guys who will always be better than Cena in every way possible in terms of longevity and not screwing people over because they're politically insane and have a desire to keep their spot. No. We gotta give it to Cena because, you know, he's not done enough yet to highlight that he's done a lot. So let's see, it's either that or Strowman gets buried. Yeah, no one wins in the end, do they? No one's gonna win in the end, are they? So, yeah, but like I said, there's just Cena's considered one of the potential opponents at WrestleMania, and I'm seriously actually hoping it's Triple H, because seriously, if they weren't going to build up to Triple H versus Strowman, they wouldn't have done the match. They wouldn't have done that moment after Survivor Series. That was way too timing. They would not have done that if it wasn't going to build up to a match between the two. That That would, to me, would be awesome. And plus, it would be kind of cathartic for Vince's fetish and revenge on Triple H. Like, remember, Strowman's not it was never an NXT guy. He was straight up put on the main roster. At best, his closest direct connection with NXT was being part of Adam Rose's Rosebud group. Yeah, we like to forget that, and then when we realize, oh god, that's Strowman? Oh wow. Never thought that. Yeah, so, yeah. But this would also be Vince's ultimate wet dream. Besides Reigns and Cena fighting again. In the main event of WrestleMania for the title of all titles. No. Vince's second ultimate wet dream would be seeing something he created. Demolishing Triple H. As if to say, fuck NXT, fuck Triple H as your savior, wrestling fans. I have my giant monster who I will eventually screw over because he's getting over as a good guy, despite being a villain. You know, like Bad News Bear was, Bo Dallas was, Cesaro was, except that was because he was turning face to the fans, but they didn't want him to be a face because, I don't know, Vince finds him boring still. So, yeah, yeah, so like I said, Strowman had a big year in 2017. I seriously hope things go well for him in 2018, especially heading into WrestleMania. I don't want him to fight Cena, because, let's be honest, Cena should have lost at WrestleMania 30, but they had to do the sappy, stupid ending with the kid. And, yeah, and plus, could you really imagine Cena losing at WrestleMania without an excuse to someone who has no connection, despite his non-connection with Triple H? Like, at least fighting Triple H, he has a chance to win. Cena, like, really, Vince is gonna let a monster among men win against the childhood hero Cena? Yeah, I don't see that happening, especially at WrestleMania. If this was any other pay-per-view, maybe he would have a chance, but at WrestleMania of all places, I don't see that happening. So, yeah, really, I'm seriously just hoping that it is either Strowman versus Triple H or something else that's not Cena. So, those were my thoughts on Braun Strowman's 2017 run. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. If you like, comment, subscribe, and donate, stay tuned for more.